Morning, everyone. Right, okay. Well, we'll be talking about Arsenal, Aston Villa, and actually what happened on that day, which I actually thought would be a cracking result for the Arsenal. I didn't think it would be easy, but I had a funny feeling that we might well beat them. On the back of the Man United game, which I thought we played exceptionally well, closed them down, played as a team, collectively together. You couldn't really pinpoint anybody that was stunning, but they all did a job and they played together and they won together. And so I thought actually Villa would be one of those games where it wouldn't be easy, but if you play Man United, I thought possibly 1-2-0, might concede a goal, but it should be pretty straightforward. And then I started watching that, and yeah. Now, I have been here before. I do remember going up the Wembley steps, playing against Chelsea. Chelsea had already won the league at the particular time, looked actually unbeatable, and probably looked on course to win the double. And I remember walking up the steps thinking, fuck me, we're going to take a pasting today, so we just keep it down to the minimum. As long as we're in the game, as long as they turn up, we are going to be beaten by the better side. And at that particular time, Chelsea were the better side. You know what happened on that particular day. Mertesacker played the fucking game of his life, and Rob Holding, the same Rob Holding, right, had Diego Costa in his pocket, and we came away with a 2-1 win. Shocked and horrified as it started unfolding, but I didn't see it coming, and I have no explanation to this day why they did or did not turn up. At that particular time, they turned up. But it's not form, it's not coaching, it's not managerial. They just wanted to do it that day. They turned up for whatever reason it may be. And as you see, when they turn up on their day, Arsenal can beat anybody. And we did them. Now, Chelsea did have their chances. Costa nearly scored at the end to make it 2-2. But in football, you need a little bit of luck. You need things to go your way, offsides, decisions. Obviously, you need to play well, but you do need the cut of the green. And on that day, we got it. And we came away with a cup, and a well-deserved cup. But then I remember Bayern Munich away. I remember the result at Old Trafford in the Wenger years, where we came away with, I think it was Gromondi and Stefanovs, I think, was our centre halves and centre backs, and unbelievably embarrassing. And on them occasion, and probably loads of other occasions, you do sit back and you think, what happened there? What was the reasoning? Well, I've listened to social media. I've sat back for a few days, listened to everyone ranting and raving, listened to people going on about sacking the manager, blaming the manager, blaming his tactics, blaming his decisions on what players play where and how they play. And at the end of the day, it has to come down to one thing, right? Those players are like human beings. So you have to take instruction. If you can't take instruction, then you are going to occur problems. So if you think, right, how it works in the normal world, you go into a restaurant, you are given a bad meal, like we were given a bad performance. The first time or the day that you have a bad meal, the first person you go to is the manager, and you complain about the food. And the manager takes the blunt, and the manager is the person that's going to sort it out. But there could be a problem that day, right? There could have been a reason why the manager wasn't in. He could have been on holiday, he could have been sick. But at the end of the day, the manager will give instruction to their staff, and the staff's job is to implicate those instructions. Now, if they do it wrong, or whatever the reason may be, and you get a bad meal, at the end of the day, I know we go to the manager, but it's not the manager's fault. You can only give instruction. Some people don't like instruction. Some people interpret instruction in a different way. But your job as a manager is to just give those instructions, to coach them, to tell them, this is how we want things done. This is the way we want to play. This is the way we want to perceive the game. And I want you, when you go out there, to do exactly as I've asked you to do. Now, I always have had a problem with this with managers in the past. If you've given those instructions, when you're on the sideline, you do not have any more options bar to watch what unfolds in front of you. And you will know as a manager, you will know in the first 10 minutes, like Arteta knew in the first 10 minutes of that Villa game, for the first goal that was disallowed, allowing Grealish time to enter that box, and Bellerin not picking up the runner for the second pass, Arteta will know that that's not what he told them to do. And that's not what they were trying on the coaching ground. He'll know that as a manager. Now, granted, I understand, right? Also, you bring people on to try and change that, to fix things, to try and change things around to make it better, to beat the other team. And I do understand that. But again, we had another bit of bad fortune. Partey got an injury. Now, at the minute, we didn't know why he was been taken off, but apparently he had a little bit of an injury. So he was one of the best players in the first half. Not a stunning game by any means of his imagination, but he was holding it together. He was breaking things down. He was holding his own. And then he went off, and it just seemed to all go to shit. Now, I don't know what went wrong that day. I don't know if it's the instruction of what Arteta had told them, because we know the instruction works because the previous week they did a superb job at Man United. And it was, bar nobody, the same 11. And so he's took them out there and hopefully expected them to do a job. And they didn't do a job. But we don't know why they didn't do the job. But yes, it could well be tactics. You could get tactics wrong. You could get tactics terribly wrong. And a lot of people have mentioned the tactics. So let's say he got the tactics wrong. All right? At the end of the day, there is something that you shouldn't coach, or you don't need to coach. And it's the will that you are being paid to do something. And if you're being paid to do something, you do it to the best of your ability. That happens in the corporate world, outside world, in shops, in places, anywhere. You get paid by a manager to do a specific job. And while you're getting paid, and they are getting paid good money, you do that job to the best of your ability. Now, let's talk tactics. So let's say the tactics were wrong on the day. So let's say Arteta, as people are saying to me, or I'm listening, that Arteta got his tactics wrong. So, okay, so we're back into the shop scenario again. Now, regardless of what I tell you to do as a manager, regardless of whether you like it or you don't like it, you do the best you can. The instruction that I've given you, you don't care for. You think it's wrong. You think you shouldn't be doing it. But you're being paid. And as long as you're being paid, you do what you expect and what the manager has asked you to do to the best of your ability. Even though in some situations, let's say collectively as a group, you all think it's wrong. But you've got to put a shift in. Now, that doesn't mean tactics have nothing to do with determination, grit, pride, aggression, and putting in 100% and putting in a shift. They are not applicable to tactics. Tactics are about where to stand, how to break down, how to stop, how to position yourself. They're tactics, but all the other things I've named are not tactical things. They are down to human beings, whether they do it or they don't. Now, against Villa, they didn't do it. They just didn't do it. They didn't do any of those sins. I didn't see any of those that I've just named. I didn't see any commitment. I didn't see any passion. I didn't see any will to win, even though you think that the tactics is wrong. Look, the way it works is if you work in a shop and someone is paying you and it is not your job and they want you to stand outside in a woman's costume to sell burgers or whatever the product you're selling, and you don't like it, you have to put 100% in. And you have to stand out there to the best of your ability, even though you know it's the wrong thing to do. And so going back to tactics, that applies to the same thing. You might think that you're playing out of position. You might think that you're better at centre forward or you're better on the wing. And the manager has not played you there because he decides or thinks that that is the best position for you, and you disagree with that. So you have two options. You can just sulk around, put in a mediocre performance and prove everybody right that you're not very good, or you can buckle down, you can roll your sleeves up, and you can do the best you can in that position for you and the team. And just imagine if you all do that. So let's say 11 players are all out of position.